Good morning, Cindy and everyone. Welcome to another episode of the 10,000 Club. Good to see you, Cindy.
Good to see you too, Tracy.
We don't get to see each other in the same place, but we meet regularly on Zoom and we talk a lot on the phone. So anyways, good to be together today. It's actually Wednesday. We're recording a day early because of schedules, but today we're going to be talking about getting kicked to the curb. Cindy, have you ever been kicked to the curb?
Oh yeah, it's not a good day when that happens.
Yeah. Well, I think in recent months, and really probably like the last year and a half, the last 6 months have been just a little bit different. But I think all of us as agents can really talk about opportunities or situations where we've been kicked to the curb, specifically with buyers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some of those, it used to be, well, a couple months or actually about a year ago, it was cash conventional and you didn't hear of any other offers. That was it. Sellers wanted cash or conventional.
Yeah, I can remember agents on my team and even talking with other agents where they have lots of pre-approvals for buyers who are VA, RD,
Yeah.
and FHA, and it was just really difficult to get those offers accepted. And many of those were just feeling like they were kicked to the curb, which is really what we're talking about today. And although those times were not fun, all of those buyers, I said it took, instead of it taking a small amount of time and a few offers that were written for each one of those buyers, we were writing 10 and 12 offers on
Yes.
each one of those homes until you finally got an acceptance. And I started saying, like the house you write on, love the house you get to inspect, because you're going to like a lot of houses, but you're going to love the one hopefully you get to inspect, because you know you know what it's like, Cindy, when that buyer falls in love with that house when they walk through the door. What's that like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, it's in that market, I told people, they said, well, I want a good deal. And I'm like, your good deal is you got the house.
Yeah, yeah,
You
right.
won the house. That's
Yeah,
your good deal.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but the
Yeah, so
market's changed.
it has. And so, we were talking about lots of different programs that are out there for buyers. And this is really a lending question. And this is where we're wanting you to have good relationships with lenders. If you're a new to industry agent and you don't have a good connection with an agent, a lender rather, this is a great time to start connecting with a lender. We've got Luke at Big Lake Lending, and he's our in-house lender. I'm working a deal with him right now, but it's good to have people in your sphere who are working on your behalf. You learn from these people. Like,
Yes.
we're all hearing about we all know the basic types of loans that are out there: conventional, FHA, VA, RD, and then there's lots of different down payment assistance programs. Probably the most one we hear the most about is MISHDA.
Yeah.
But what we're hearing is that these buyers who were kicked to the curb are now getting acceptances.
Yeah. I think sellers are more open because of the shift in the market. But a good point you made, Tracy, is about making a connection with your lender. It's nice to be able to have somebody you can just pick up the phone and ask them a question,
Yep.
because we're not lenders, but I like all agents, you want to be privy to the things that are out there and the programs and that. And so I never want to feel when I call a lender that I can't call and ask a question about a loan program or something like that. So it's really nice to make that connection.
Yeah. And with the interest rates being so much higher, buyers are looking for every dollar, that they
Yeah.
can to help them qualify for these mortgages. And so, we always hear about the FHA loan, that it's 3.5% down. And we really forget that there are a couple of conventional products that are out there to help those first-time buyers. And really, it's not just first-time buyer. And that's what Cindy and I were talking about. And this is
Yeah.
where, when you connect to a good lender, you find out about the fact that Home Ready and Home Possible are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac products that are 3% versus that 3.5% down. They also help the buyer avoid that FHA funding fee that ends up getting passed on to the buyer when they close on those mortgages. But some of the benefits of the Home Ready and Home Possible loans are pretty significant, right, Cindy?
Oh, yeah. Well, the PMI's discounted. It's a 3% down versus an FHA 3.5% down. The credit, I think your credit on the home ready loan is, needs to be at 660 or above.
Yeah.
Which helps buyers because
Yeah,
not everybody has
that's
perfect
attainable.
credit.
Mm-hmm.
The home ready, your credit score 620. So that's another option. And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, that is a 3% down for first-time home buyers, which I believe they consider first-time home buyer if you haven't purchased a home in 3 years.
Yeah.
So that opens the door for more buyers, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And a 0.5% can make a difference. And the
Yeah.
fact that the PMI is reduced under these special programs with Fannie and Freddie. And I believe, and again, this is check with your lender, but the PMI falls off after it's an 80-20 thing, right? Isn't it? For both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have a buyer that has decent credit, a 620 score or a 660, it's certainly attainable. And then FHA funding guidelines are different, but I think the benefit of the Home Ready and Home Possible is also that reduction in the PMI when you qualify. So
Yeah.
definitely check with your lenders on those. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for ways for your buyer to get qualified to buy these houses. And most importantly, one of the ways we're seeing they qualify is concessions. And so we're wondering, how are you having conversations with your sellers today about concessions?
Yeah, because concessions, I'm seeing them more and more. And I think what happens is, obviously time of year to winter, sellers are in that mindset, well, maybe I better be a little more negotiable, which helps buyers. But concessions, I think it's really important to explain those to your sellers, along with the different loan programs, because like I said before, sellers were like, oh, I just want cash or conventional. And some of them were like, hey, I want cash. But explain to them about, when buyers are asking what exactly concessions are. And, and again, there's ways that you can do that. You can increase the sale price, or, if a house has been on the market for a while, you may want to ask for concessions off the list price, or however you wanted, whatever you thought your buyer was comfortable with.
Right. Yeah, in the previous market, I would say to my buyers, look, if you need concessions, we're looking for that house that's been on the market for, at least more than 2 weeks, because that seller, hasn't had an offer yet. They might consider your offer, but when you want me to take you and show you that house that came on the market on Friday and it's Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we're not winning. But if the house is still out there in a couple of weeks, we might be able to win in a circumstance like that. And certainly today, I'm having those conversations with my sellers as well. Hey, if we have a price that's price point under 300,000, here are the likely offers that might end up over here for me to present to you. They could be conventional. They could be cash. They still could be cash.
There's still cash out there.
Yep, there's lots of cash still out there. But under 300, we could have a conventional. We could have an FHA. We definitely could see the VA buyers. They're circling back. They're finding success right now.
Yeah.
And depending on the location, it could be those rural development loans. But what I really want to make sure that we're clear on is that they could ask for concessions. So have good conversations that explain that essentially you have to look at that as a reduction in the purchase price. So either we're increasing the sales price to accommodate those concessions, and then hoping and praying that the home then appraises, because it's going to need to appraise, including those concessions.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is, when people ask me, well, how much should I ask for in concessions? I say, well, what did your lender recommend? That's another good question for the lender. I mean, obviously we have an idea, but I never want a buyer to be surprised. I want those numbers and everything for them to be working with that lender, so they're clear on all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had one that we got, I think $6,000 in concessions. And it was a big ask on a house that had been on the market for a short time. We kind of thought it was priced really well. And it ended up appraising for more than we wrote, which was great. But one of the things we did is we told the seller that the buyer was going to make a number of the repairs or a dollar amount, I think we specified that we would be buying in for the first $1,000, let's say. And so we just said to them, look, we know we're asking you for concessions, but in return, if there are any FHA repairs, my buyer has some pretty handy people in the family. And we could see it was going to need a bunch of painting done. And so it all worked out. There was a lot of painting that had to be done. My buyer had their family member who was really resourceful, had the idea to go out and lay tarps on a deck on a sunny day. Imagine that, a sunny day in the winter. And
well, it's sunny today.
I know, but they heated up the deck and got it nice and warm, slapped on that paint, got it all done, got the soffits repainted, and got the appraiser back out there, you know, that sometime that next week, and we got it done. So it all worked out. But, you know, a year and a half ago, we would not have been in that same scenario. So if, you know, if you were feeling like you had a buyer in that market who was kicked to the curb, we're here to tell you that buyers are getting acceptances now for those FHA, VA, RD, and 3% buyers, even 5%.
Yeah, they are. And it's just like you said, Tracy, being creative. You know, you find a house and you try to be creative. You know, if it's an FHA, you try to make a concession with the seller on, you know, having them accept your offer and that. But also the other thing is when I'm listing a property, especially now, I'll emphasize, like, if you go there and let's say there is some peeling paint or there's a hole in the garage door or something like that, you know, off the bat that that's not going to go FHA. That's going to come back, you know, peeling paint sometimes, but big thing, you know, things that are pretty obvious, that they're not going to go FHA or VA. And for a few dollars, and maybe that seller, you know, if they're asking you questions on how to improve their home, it's like, you know, make a few of those repairs so you can put on that offer VA and FHA, because those are going to be the buyers. A lot of the buyers are going to be working with those loan programs. And it's that you avoid a lot of pain in the end when the appraiser comes through and says, hey, I need this done, I need that done. And so I'm trying to have those conversations in advance too.
Yeah, I like that, because at the end of the day, you know, if you have a house that's priced, let's even just say at 250,000 or less, the likelihood that an FHA buyer or a VA buyer are going to come along are pretty high.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting and you're waiting and you haven't offered those as types of financing, you'll get calls. Hey, is there a reason why you're not offering FHA or VA? And then you want to say, well, yeah, because I got a lot of peeling paint on the deck or the threshold of the garage door or shed. And now you can't offer it. So if we can have those conversations on the front end, we open ourselves up to more buyer availability for our sellers to win. And we're not worried about an FHA inspection because we know that you know, there's still obviously a possibility we could get something called out. But the fact that we've walked through the house, we've identified a few sort of things that we know, tripping hazards, things like that, that might literally cause us concern later with an appraisal.
Yeah, because like you said, I know there's going to be more VA and FHA buyers. And I think because of the way the market was before, I think we've probably kind of scared sellers on the VA and the FHA, because it was easier to sell that home to a cash or conventional buyer. You know, when sellers are looking at that and they're reviewing the offers, they look at the financing and all that. So I think that us educating them in advance with our listings will ease their minds a little bit too.
Yeah. And really, I've often been told that the FHA underwriting system, when they put the buyer into that and they get that pre-approval from the underwriting system, is really a really good fail-safe pre-approval. If the buyer loses their job or something, the biggest hurdle then is just getting through that appraisal. So if we've set up our sellers and we've got an FHA approval from the underwriting system, we've got a good buyer. And then we know we have a good house. So all you're doing is you're waiting on that number for what did the home appraise for.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think we can offer enough good advice to the sellers in preparation for what offers might come across their system.
Yep. Yeah. It's just like you said, the education and just, you know, letting them know in advance, I think it just saves everybody a lot of time.
Yeah. The other thing we were talking about is down payment assistance. That those loans that came across with MISHDA on them or other types of down payment assistance, whether it's from a local community. I know Kalamazoo has some of those, Muskegon has some of those. And there's some in my area over in Wayne County that has those as well. When you see those on the pre-approval letter, you're just like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
it's going to go through another entity for approval.
And it takes longer, right?
It
So
does take long. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
financing, it just depends. I had a MISHDA. I did get a MISHDA accepted in this crazy market. And we were delayed a month, but it wasn't because of anything anybody had, it was just because it was government financing and MISHDA had not funded. They were delayed on getting all the files. So they were like 30 days behind. So I don't know that that'll be an issue right now, but
Yeah. But still, these are just really great things and ways
yeah.
that we can educate our sellers on what they might be expecting to come across in terms of offers when we're working with them as sellers agents. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm thinking about things upcoming and I'm thinking about continuing education. And I know that Don and Eric and myself, and let's see, that might be it, have all been busy filming different segments of Con Ed. And one segment of Con Ed this year is going to be on just that, appraisals. So I think that's going to be
Nice.
a nice segment for all of us to get a little bit more educated and hear from a pro about standards within the appraisal industry. And we're going to do watch parties again. Cindy, I'm sure you're going to be hosting
Yay.
some. Yeah. So we'll be hosting some watch parties again. So anyway, so look forward to that. So keep an eye on the 5-star calendar. I suspect we'll start seeing those dates by mid to late February. So, well, Cindy, thanks for your time. And I promise not to kick you to the curb. And I don't think I did.
Don't kick me to the curb, Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. We're going to have Alicia Joustra joining us, talking to us about her business and what she's been up to and how she's just basically carved out a new path for herself and finding success. So look forward to that as well. So anyway, Cindy, thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Right.
have a great day.
You as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.